Hi, and welcome back to Carving Up the Trails. I'm D. You'll see Bree rolling around back here. Carver is with his mom somewhere, so it'll just be me and Bree today. Today we're going to take and go over the torque specs for the Clayton 3.5 inch Overland premium lift kit that we put on our Jeep Gladiator Blue. We'll also talk about what we think about it and all the different components that have gone on with it. We've had it on the truck for a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years now. We put it on in July and it currently is May, so just a couple months it'll be 2 years, and I think that's plenty of time to get a good feel for what the lift will do. But one thing I will do is I'm going to put up a sheet as we go through the different things, and I'll have all of the torque specs for the different bolts on the lift kit, because I got to keep going back and forth through the instruction manual, and I'm gonna take and just put it on a Google Sheets, and I'll put it in the video, so any of you guys that are doing it, you'll have it really easy. And then I'll also post them all in the description below. So come along, let's get the truck set up, let's get it ready, and here we go. For those of you that don't know or haven't watched the other video, I was wanting to do a full install video, but it was just a lot more complicated. Like I said, it was July, South Carolina, middle of the summer. I couldn't really get to work until closer to lunchtime because of the kids, having to get them going and outside and everything. So I just kind of did a walk around, but today I'll get a little bit more in depth on the different components that you're gonna see. Also, I did change out the sway bar links on the front and put the JKS quicker disconnect links on the front. We did a video on that as well. I'll take and put a tag or something up here, and also have a link for it in the description. But we have a bunch of different components that were extra with the Overland premium kit, and we've really liked them as well. First thing that you're gonna see is the Falcon Series 3 adjustable shocks, with the little switches. Most of the time when we're just driving day to day, I keep it on 1, but if we go off road, I go to 3, and it's a definitive difference. The front ones are an L, and the rear shocks back here have the extra overflow or reservoir off to the side going down as well. Now, like I said, I have the rear sway bar links. I did have to torque these down. It's really difficult to get a good torque on them, but it is 60 foot-pounds. And again, I'll put the sheet up at the end of the video or in the middle of the video somewhere. But I also have all of these listed in the description below. But you'll have 60 foot-pounds, and I'll kind of show you the little secret that I used. Back sway bar link is the one area in the back that I wanted to talk to you guys about. You can see that it's considerably longer than the stock one, and to torque it down to spec, which is 60 foot-pounds, the top is no problem. You can gear that down. It's a bolt threaded into a nut that's welded to this bracket here, which is attached to the frame. The bottom is where it gets a little tricky, because you've got an Allen key that you use to hold the little ball joint, whatever, so you can torque it down. Well, you can't do that with a torque wrench, because torque wrench isn't hollow. So what I found is if you get a nice skinny pair of vice grips and you put that in there, it gives you just enough metal that you can take and torque it down just perfectly. Again, that's 60 foot-pounds. One thing that I needed to go back and re-torque specifically was the shocks, because they didn't give me torque torque specs. So I went and found the factory torque specs, and that's what I've used. On all of the shocks, the top bolt is 80 foot-pounds and the bottom bolt is 75 foot-pounds. So let's get underneath here. I'll see if we can get Bree underneath here too and see if she can help me out by holding the wrench or something, and see if we can get this bottom one torqued down. So this is the bottom of the shock on the front here. You'll need a adjustable wrench or a pair of vice grips or something like that. And then you also need a torque wrench. And if it's the same as the top, Bree, will you hand me that big long one? Yep, that one. Thank you. If it's the same as the top, this bolt is an 18 millimeter. Oh, nope, that's not an 18 millimeter. It's gonna be a 19 millimeter, I believe. Bring me that. Nope, the one that looks like this right there. Yep, thank you. Oh god, oh, there it goes. All right, that's a 19 millimeter. All right, Bree, will you hand me that pair of pliers right there between your legs? Nope, the bigger one. Yep, that one. Thank you. Oh, see if I can move you guys over, still keep you in shot. I know this is probably not the right way to do it.
I love these little ones so much.
But when you're working with a 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old, Bree's almost 5. She'll be 5 here in, what's today's date? Today's 7th?
The 18th.
But today's the 7th. Yeah, Bree will be 5 in 11 days.
And the 18th.
All
Say
right.
the 18th.
Yeah, on the 18th.
Okay. That's what I wanted you to say. So I could be 5. You didn't say that I wouldn't be 5.
All right, that one's torqued down to 75 foot-pounds.
Ah!
You all right?
Yeah. It ain't bleeding. It ain't. It's just.
I'm gonna go over and do the other side, but that's
Pull your shirt down.
that's how you do it. If you have a
Daddy.
19 millimeter box end wrench, that probably would work too, because then you can have it braced against the lower control arm here so that it'll take and torque easier. But I'm gonna go over and do the other side. Around the front here, I replaced the steering system with the Rock Jock Curlink system that was provided by the Clayton Overland lift, and this is a very beefy steering system. The track bar, or not the track bar, but the Lord, I can't remember the name of them. You guys know what these are. I just went blank. But these are extremely beefy here across the bottom, and even replaced the tie rod, and we even put a Falcon steering stabilizer on here, and it's adjustable as well. I actually have it set at 3 instead of 1 because that's just my personal preference, but these links are amazing. I've not had not one bit of bump steer or anything like that when it comes to having it flexed out and going. Now before I put the lift on and changed out the steering linkages, I did take and do a couple small trails with me and Carver in the stock form, and that steering was all over the place. Jeep does a good job at engineering their vehicles, but there are some companies that just do it right, and Rock Jock definitely does it right. Clayton definitely does it right. Here's a good look at our JKS quicker disconnect links here. And that was a pretty easy install. Carver did probably 90% of the install. I just went back in and retorqued everything just to make sure it was to spec. So let's get in here and look at these control arms, and we'll get going on that. Most of this stuff is 18, 19, 22 and 21 millimeters. And so as long as you have those sockets, you should be able to torque everything down. I'm not gonna mess with the steering because I had it aligned, and I gave those guys that aligned it all of the torque specs, because I tightened it down good enough because I was taking it right there, and I'd already talked to them ahead of time, and they said that they would take and get everything torqued to spec for me. So I'm not touching that because those guys did it, and then I took it for an oil change, and they checked all of that for me again, and they said it was back to spec, or it hadn't moved from spec. So I trust those guys. It's down at Ed Murdoch where I bought the truck from. They do a great job. Their service department is remarkable. Their sales teams are amazing as well. So I didn't figure you wanted to see me torque bolts, so I'm not going to bore you. But the lower control arm, you have the body mount here, and then the axle mount is on the bottom. Upper control arm is a little harder to get to, it's up there. They do have different torque specs on the back for the lower and the upper control arm. And the upper control arm is a little bit aggravating because you got to take off this little cover here, and when you're trying to torque this thing down, right there is the exhaust. That's why I said do not do this if your motor is even remotely warm, because you will burn your hand. Even if you've got a glove on, like, it gets hot. Trust me, I know from experience. But the bottom here is torqued to 190 foot-pounds, and I believe the top is 80. I know these are good because I just torqued those not long ago. So the only thing on the front that I was wanting to check the torque spec on was my shocks, because everything else I've checked recently. But 190 foot-pounds of torque on the lower control arms, 80 foot-pounds of torque on the upper control arms. And be careful, this is a 10 millimeter, I believe it is. There's one here, and then there's one up here at the top, and you get, like, you basically have to have a bending ratchet to get in there. But you can see the tubular construction, how they're arched in. And the way I know that they're torqued right is because I had my upper control arms, I had them in the wrong spot. You can see where it was rubbing. I don't know how I did that. I guess I put them in the wrong pile, but once I got them all to length, I guess I just put them in the wrong pile. But that explains why I had such a hard time getting them in. So don't do what I did. Make sure that you've got the bow going in the right direction. It makes it a whole lot easier to get these things in there. But let me get out of here. As far as the Clayton 3.5 inch premium Overland lift goes, I can't be happier with it. It's amazing. I was a little disappointed with all the creaking and popping, but when I found out that that was my error, not the error of Clayton, that was really the only thing that I was upset about, was the creaking and popping. And when I found out that it was my error because I didn't have things torqued down correctly, that completely kind of went out the window with me being disappointed. I called them 3 or 4 times while I was trying to put this this lift kit on, and I always got somebody from the US, from their company, that knew exactly what they provided. Their customer service is beyond any other company that I've really dealt with. Well, I take that back. Rock Jock is the same way. I called Clayton and asked them a few questions, and since it was the Curry Link, they actually gave me the number for customer service to call Curry Link to call Rock Jock, so I would have all of their specs as well. And both companies, now I see why Clayton teamed up with them, because their customer service is phenomenal as well. I've met the guys that do TerraFlex at Jeep Invasion. Every product that I have on my Jeep as far as suspension goes, I have personally spoken to somebody that helped develop those products. That's what gives me all the confidence in the world in this system. So if you're looking for a lift kit for your Gladiator, for your JL Wrangler, well, any Jeep product, to be honest with you, I would highly recommend the Clayton 3.5-inch Overland Premium Plus lift kit. If you're looking for a steering system, can't beat Rock Jock. Rock Jock does amazing work. TerraFlex and Falcon shocks, amazing. That's one of the reasons why I have Clayton off-road and the Falcon stickers on the back of the truck. I would have Rock Jock on there, but my son took all of those and put them all over everything, so I don't have any Rock Jock stickers to put on my window, but I will gladly put those on, because those are definitely companies that I am proud to have on my Jeep. So that's just a quick rundown. I hope you enjoyed it. Me and Carver are on our way to 500 subscribers. We're getting really close. Let me get my phone. I'll tell you exactly where we're at. Last time I looked, we were at 470 something. Let me see. Greasy hands don't help with the fingerprint lock, do they? All right, let's see. Taking a minute. I'm outside, so I'm not. We have 479 subscribers. So go ahead and click that subscribe button. Help me and Carver reach our goal. Help my son be excited. He's really wanting to see that 500 mark beside our name, and then I know as soon as we get 500, he'll be pushing for 1,000, because he is really excited about all this. Bree back here, she did help me a little bit. You can see her, she's taking my tripod, so I have to use my GoPro with my hands. But go ahead, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, help us reach 500. We do have a Facebook account at Carving Up the Trails. We have Instagram, Carving Up the Trails, and we have TikTok, Carving Up the Trails. We're gonna try and start posting more on all of those platforms as well. So go ahead, hit subscribe, and as Carver always says, always stay outdoors. God bless.